Women of Power podcast is a platform for passionate and influential women who are catalysts for change, pioneers in their fields, the change makers, the trailblazers, performers, and influencers, driven entrepreneurs and professionals. They play a vital role in driving economic growth and bridging the talent shortages across organizations of various scales. Building cause-based businesses to create positive impact in their communities and towards sustainable goals for the people, planet, and prosperity. In every industry, women are shattering barriers and strive to create a space where they can exhibit their achievements and motivate other women to unleash their limitless potential. We encourage collaboration, networking, and knowledge sharing among women. Let's inspire and learn from one another while sharing our valuable experiences. Thank you for joining us and listening to this episode. Hello and greetings wherever you are. We welcome you to our podcast, Women in Power. It's exactly what it is. We bring in the unique perspectives of the unique talents here at this podcast. And today is our guest herself is a unique individual with tons of unique perspective. I'll go into detail about introducing her. So this is our opening session of this podcast. So just want to tell you a little bit about what I mean about women of power. These are the catalysts of change, pioneers in their field, the change makers, the trailblazers, the performers and influencers, and driven entrepreneurs and professionals. Women of Power is a dynamic platform that recognizes the incredible potential of women as driving force behind the global economic growth. It's a platform that celebrates and empowers women of power. Today, my guest is as I mentioned, a very talented with a unique perspective, founder and a CEO of AI Beehive, AI and ethicist, author of a book titled AI with a Buddhist Perspective. She is the top 20 global AI ethic leader, advisory board of FAIR, that's Festival of AI and Robotics, advisory board of Impact. And I would ask her to explain a little bit more about herself, but I would like to welcome Rupa Singh, founder and CEO of AI Beehive. Rupa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ritu, and it's such a pleasure being here, and pleasure as well as it's a great honor being here. And you yourself are such an accomplished woman, and inspiring all the women, and being in the technology space, and being a best-selling author, international best-selling author, and such a great privilege to be your guest in this podcast, and talking about one of my most favorite topic on AI ethics from
Thank
a perspective of Buddhist philosophy.
Thank you. I'm sure we will have very engaging conversation and it won't be the end of it. Today won't be the end of it. So before we get into it, tell us a little bit more about what's happening in AI space, as this is not just entirely new, but it's just becoming more talked about, how it affects a everyday citizen, and what are all the boards and ethics that you are part of. Just take a couple of minutes to explain to our audience and listeners, what does that mean to be knowledgeable what's happening in the AI growth space?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. And currently, we all are being surrounded by the web of technologies. And AI is oiling the wheels of almost every industries now. And so whether we consider ourselves as a technologist or non-technologist, we are still, you know, somehow we are related to these technologies. And and we all have realized our intimate relationship with our technologies, and the more we engage with our digital platforms and social media platforms, and it tends to log our behavior, and these platforms and applications tend to know about us more than ourselves. And so when we talk about Buddhist philosophies also, it is so important that we are aware and mindful about how we are dealing with our platforms, and how mindful and aware we are about our platforms while
Oh,
dealing with platforms.
step back a little bit, for general audiences who are non-techies and everyday people doing everyday things. The platforms we refer to a technology platform of some sort of software or app that you use on your devices, etc. So you talked about a little bit the technology knows more than we know. Technology platforms know about ourselves,
Right.
about us more than we know about ourselves. Isn't that the truth? And it might be shock to some people that how much information about them is out there, publicly available. Uh, However, I always say no matter what you do, be informed consumer. Either you're using technology, to what extent do you use or you don't use. It is our responsibility to be informed consumers or conscious consumers.
Absolutely.
Yes, so we will talk about a little bit more on those, being a conscious or informed consumer. But I have ton of questions to ask you. So to get started with, I know you published a book. Your book was a part of Australian festival where this book was presented as a supplemental. Tell us a little bit more. I don't know if that book was as a gift given to every participant, or was there a bigger picture behind it? So just tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, that was a great opportunity to me. So there was an event which happened on 16th of June in Australia, which was Women in AI Awards event, where all the women across the globe who are doing great work in technology space. So I think more than 400 women and people all over the globe, they had come to Australia for this award event, and where my book was selected as a gift to for all the guests. So that was an amazing thing,
Well,
and I never
congratulations.
expected, yeah, and I never expected this to happen while I was writing my book. And while I was writing my book, I was writing with just as a first time author, I was writing with doubts, fears, and anxiety. But I never expected that this kind of recognition and
Congratulations. You must be very proud. So this is
yeah.
the doubts, fears, and that we will talk about today, and all of those other questions that I have. So let's get started. So I know the topic for our audience is, as we are showing the cover of the Rupa's book here as well. So the topic is AI and ethics. Is this AI with Buddhist perspective? AI ethics with Buddhist perspective as the title. Okay. All right.
Right.
Perspective, for our audiences who are not familiar with how does that relate to or comparison or the foundation that you want to set or expectation you want to set for readers and listeners. Tell us a little bit about the Buddhist perspective and how it's related to the artificial intelligence.
Right. I think that's a great question, and that's one of my favorite question as well. With how Buddhist perspective is related to AI. or AI ethics. And so when I talk about, or when this book comes across to many people, and most of the people are quite inquisitive about how Buddhism and AI is related. But what I believe that Buddhist perspective and AI, Buddhist has a profound, impact, and profoundly intertwined with AI ethics.
Okay.
And so when we talk about AI ethics, is not only about fine tuning certain technical parameters, but AI ethics is more of deeper, our philosophical and our related to our intentions. So the purity of our intentions is what defines, true ethical AI systems. And when it comes to Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy talks about the, purity of our intentions and awareness and mindfulness and consciousness. So if we are creating our technology, or if we are intertwining Buddhist philosophy for the AI ethics, and considering these philosophies such as compassion, mindfulness, and awareness, and the purity of our intentions, so we can create a system which benefits the entire humanity. For example, mindfulness is not only, we need to be mindful about how our creations, the product that, or the technology that we are creating, how it is impacting certain individuals or societies or even our environments, not only from 10 years from now, but also maybe from 50 years or 100 years from now. So having a purity of our intentions, like
I'm so intently listening to you, and I'm making notes at the same time. So
uh,
let me bring our thoughts back to the question. So you said related to our intentions, and you mentioned purity of our intentions.
right,
That is the Buddhist perspective and a philosophy, the purity of an intention, and I will come back to it again.
right,
Mindful about creation of products and technologies. So and I'm a technologist myself, so I've seen kinds of technologies last 2 decades, from mainframe systems coming into to slow growth of technology moving at extremely fast paced speed into the software development and the types of became available to present stage of AIs, generative AIs. So I
right,
keep my conversation simple for people who are non-technical people, and just use um, knowingly, unknowingly, they're part of this AI world. So let's talk about a little bit more mindful about creation and products. And before I allow you to respond to that, I just want to add one more thing. So
yeah,
most people hear the mindful word is some sort of spiritual upliftment, being calm and collected and being mindful of what they do, what they eat, and interpretation go as far as people's perceptions. So just
right,
kind of summarize that, just being mindful of your actions and thoughts. But here, if we take that same concept of being mindful of your actions and thoughts, and how does that apply to what Rupa was just saying, being mindful about creation of product, they are earth friendly, planet friendly, not just now, but 100 years from now, but also the technologies that being created. So for my non-technical friends, the technologies are created, there's databases, there's so much information, and you hear the word of algorithms and things like that. There's so much goes into creating a technical platform. This is what we are talking about, how the generative AI or artificial intelligence is taking over our lives without us knowing. Even if we know about it, we can't do anything. We have allowed it. And from those kind of the intention perspective, we will be having this conversation for next few minutes. So let's come back to the question on the mindful about creation of a product or service or technical platform from ethics in mind.
Right. Yeah, a great summarization from you, Ritu. So, coming back to the question that as a creator of the technology, how can we be more mindful? For example, AI systems are these systems thrive on our data, and these data can be personal and sensitive data, which is being captured from various sources, internet sources, or from in an active or passive way. And some of the data which are being, a lot of data which are being taken is not been given consent. And
Okay.
since these data are being collected and which contain sensitive information, so the creators of the technology, they need to be mindful about how the sensitive data of individuals are being processed and analyzed by the systems. And if it is analyzed for but one specific problem to solve, for example, somebody shares an important data about their health record, and the platform or the creator of the technology is using the technology, is creating for providing health assistance, or creating technology which is AI health assistant. But however, if the same data is being repurposed for some other information or being sold to third party vendors, and how these sensitive information are being used, and what is the impact on individuals, societies, or our environments. So this requires our mindful approach.
Okay.
And using these information, sensitive information, and the data that we are using to create technologies, it can have an impact. It can have the potential to erode our social fabric. And it's so important that uh, as a creator of the technology, we need to be mindful about how we are using the information.
Is not consented. Like, so there's more ethic issues. So that explains your topic of your book very well. And I am so impressed that you thought of writing a book about it. There's more questions that I have that before I can even get to your book and talk more about it. But I
Sure.
just want to ask you, tell your journey, um, how you discovered the realm of artificial intelligence and Buddhism, and what inspired you this kind of uh, distinctive convergence.
Okay. Well, that's a very sensitive question for me, and I've been most often asked that how did I come up with this perspective? And for me, it's a very sensitive question, and I think this is the first time I'm sharing it with someone, and you are somebody who's special with whom I'm sharing this information. So this Buddhist perspective, I came up with this unique perspective, and it has to do a lot with my own experiences in my life. And not many people know that I suffered from brain injury for more than a decade. And so and during that time, while I was quite young, and you can imagine the kind of challenges, the suffering, the pain that I was going through, not only in terms of physical but also emotional, while um, all my friends, my relatives, they were enjoying their professional growth, their personal growth. I was struggling with every day, struggling with my health, and I was not sure that how my health is going to transform. So during that time, I had to rely on certain people, certain friends that I had during that time, and because I spent a lot of time in hospital, and I was very much excessively dependent on them for certain stuff. So I had to share some important data, for example, credit card information, sometimes my Gmail account information, and also I would share about my pain, suffering, sometimes ambition or my emotions. So there's a lot of sharing that I was doing. But at the same time, uh, I realized, although very late, that some of my information were misused, since some of my friends, those who were providing me conveniences initially, they since they knew me very well, they could manipulate me, persuade me, uh, according to their wish. I took the red pill at a very tough time. And earlier I was having a blue pill, living in a blissful ignorance. And so the red pill came to me at a very difficult time. And during my hospital time, I also realized that we all are impermanent beings, which also Buddhist philosophy talks about. We are impermanent beings and life is suffering. And also, I realize the importance of being aware our about our own feelings, being mindful, as well as also being mindful about our own environments. And for most of the complex problems, there is there is a spiritual approach to solve those problems. And I also learned the power of letting go. uh, when I was considered as one of the critical employee, and after my health challenge, I was no longer needed. These philosophies came to me at a uh, in a very natural way to deal with all the challenges that I was going through. And so now I consider AI as as that friend, that close friend with whom you share all the important information. And as I said previously, that we all have realized the intimate relationship with our technology. We share our ambitions, we share most of our intimate data, and we talk to our technologies. We have AI assistants in our homes, so it's basically AI technology is the closest friends, the most intimate person. If you consider it as a person, the closest friend for all of us. And
Yeah.
what if the same technology starts conspiring against us? So it's so important that we being mindful about what kind of information that we are sharing and how we are dealing with these technologies, so that we don't sleepwalk into a situation which we don't desire.
So I am, first of all, I am very sorry to hear about your personal experiences, and that's where a lot of time our growth comes,
Right.
going through some challenges. And it's not easy to say, oh, well, we got something out of it, but that's how life is, right? So as you talk about the life, but with this perspective of impermanence, life is not. We all know that it's not permanent, and the challenge is also not permanent. They have also a lifespan. How we deal with it, and that is a growth process. So
Right.
they are very unique. I am so pleased to have you and having this conversation with you for our listeners, our viewers, that this is a awakening moment in our lives, that how data is collected through the AI assistant tools such as the Alexa series and etc., that we do give commands and things, and without our being aware of that, the conversations are being picked up as well. So that's data being analyzed. And that's where Rupa had mentioned that we don't give consent for those types of data to be used. Okay, so we're not suggesting that you stop using what you use or become used to. What I say that be a informed consumer. So that's the point that we will drive back and forth again. So I just want to continue this conversation with this talented guest of ours, is that in pursuit of artificial intelligent advancement, issues like bias, fairness, and transparencies often come into play. How can the Buddhist perspective contribute to addressing these concerns and fostering more equitable artificial intelligence landscape? And is it possible?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. And so, in our technological world right now, we are. This is one of the most pressing problem that if AI is creating biases and discrimination, and how do we ensure that we create more fair technology? How I see it as biases, discrimination, it has less to do with the technology and more to do with uh, our own mindset and our own behavior, humans. Um, so technology, even if it is artificial intelligence, it is neutral. It is humans that create biases in the technology. And since artificial intelligence is different from, it's unique from all the previous technologies in a way that, so for example, since it works on data, artificial intelligence thrives on data, and the kind of data that we fed into these systems, if these data are biased and it possesses discriminatory data, then AI systems learn from these data, that they get trained on these data, and moreover, it perpetuates these existing biases and discriminations. So AI technologies or algorithms are just, it just mirrors our own reality. It mirrors our real world. So whether good or bad. So if we as human beings, if and as per the research, according to research, it is said that we have almost 250 cognitive biases, and a lot of biases that we have inherently, we do not even realize. So we tend to be biased towards people who share common values. Maybe we come from similar backgrounds, same color, religion, nations, and all these biases are being fed into these systems, and then systems, reflect what kind of data that we train these systems for. So again, the Buddhist perspective comes into picture, and if we consider humanity, and if we consider creating technology for the common for all humanity, and if we are mindful and aware about our own biases, then we will be mindful about the technology that we are creating. It does not create biases, and also we can create ethical frameworks which mitigates these biases and discrimination. For example, suppose a company who has a boys club, and they have been promoting boys and scoring less, scoring women employees less on performance. And if such companies create algorithms, hiring algorithms, so these hiring algorithms, since it is being fed on the biased data, it is bound to give biased outcomes. So it has less to do with technology, but more to do with
human intentions as you
and intentions. Yeah.
So let me come back to this intentions part. So the data that is being utilized in generative AI, in algorithms, etc., and those algorithms are completely dependent on human input. And if human input is tilted one way or the other, either towards the gender, the race, color, any kind. So that creates immediate bias. So from a Buddhist perspective, the ethics for artificial intelligence, and I emphasize the word artificial intelligence because it's not uh, actual human intelligence. When we speak, we named it as an artificial intelligence, is taking all the data, churning it in somehow, processing and reprocessing and regenerating and taking more data and processing to some usage of providing us maybe a little bit easier daily routines. So we depend on technology than human beings, and we are becoming dependent on technology than our own judgment. So that is the danger of AI, that we become so dependent on a technical platform, device, some app to guide us than to um, our own capabilities, our own emotions, etc. So as you hear Rupa explain about ethics and the biases, I want to continue asking her more questions here that I have quite a few. And Rupa, our conversation would not be done today. So there's so much to talk about. So let's come back to the bias in AI system is a pressing concern. We all agree that. And people who are listening, and even if they don't know how the technical platform of develop, I'm sure that they would agree in many ways that yes. So there can be a concern about the speed of AI that's affecting our lives. How do you address? I have two questions here. So I'm going to say, how do you address bias in artificial intelligence algorithm as an expert? And the second part I would like to ask is what step can be taken to ensure fairness uh, and inclusivity? So for the second question, the second part of it, uh, are there any governance and monitoring and who controls it? I know that as we speak now, there aren't any government supervisions on those technical companies that are relating. So take it away.
Great. Thank you for asking this question, Ritu. So, as we discussed in our previous question, that according to research, we have almost 250 cognitive biases. And also, we tend to connect more with people who share our common values, language, and personal and professional backgrounds. And we experience a lot of gender disparity in terms of employment and salary. And in many industries where women are still paid lesser than their male counterparts, and they often experience delayed or no promotions.
That is
And
correct. Can I
right.
interrupt right here? So as you brought this up, I just thought of it that there is, and I am never trying to argue this equal pay is unfair. We know that, but that's where there's a lot of other people are taking up on those issues. I am women empowerment and acknowledging and showcasing their talent, etc. So I want to say that more and more younger women are equally educated. They pay the same tuition to those brand name colleges. So, but once we leave the college, we pay for the education. We're not being paid for our talent, right? So I come out paying the same amount to get the same degree for a 4-year college, bachelor's program, et cetera, than my counterpart would do.
Exactly.
I wanted to just bring that up in the conversation. So
Yeah, that's very true. And so it comes from our patriarchal societies where men were given more freedom to work and do things, and while women were more confined to homes and taking care of household activities and children. And now, but still in our modern world today, in even in our era of artificial intelligence, we still see these biases, not only for women, but also there are many discriminations and biases based on gender, color, or religion, or even ethnicity or nations. So biases is not only limited to uh, gender, but it
factor,
uh,
yes,
yeah, it is for many other
let's
things.
let's leave this conversation for the next episode, because there's a lot to talk about. The biases is just not gender, as Rupa said, that there could be ethnicities, race, religion, and others. So how would that be part of a technology? So this is a whole new conversation. So we would bring it. We'll bring Rupa back for that conversation in another episode. But I want to kind of continue what conversation we are having now, that according to you, what research you had been doing, speaking on these platforms, etc., and connected with your like minds, think tanks, what steps can be taken to ensure fairness and inclusivity?
Yeah, for that's an important question. So currently, AI systems are mostly being developed by technologists, and most uh, it is being limited to technologists and businesses. But if we want to create more fair and inclusive technologies, and we should be including people from different domains, and not only technologists or domain experts or businesses, but also people from different backgrounds, such as religious backgrounds, philosophers, or consumers, and political leaders. And so the more diverse group that we have during the creation of the technology, we bring more inclusivity, and we can reduce biases, we can mitigate biases, and promote fairness. And it is also said that if we don't eliminate biases, we will automate it. So it is so important that we create a diverse group to have inclusivity for creating a fair, unbiased technologies.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can emphasize enough on what Rupa had just said, that if we don't eliminate biases, we will automate them. This is fatal for young minds, our future leaders of tomorrow. And if we need to, as a collaborative society, as a global family, we are so independent for our needs, trade, products, services on each other in our current world, in digital economy. So this begs our attention to include, as Rupa said, that not only philosophical leaders, religious leaders, government leaders, and ethical business leaders who are not just profit minded and generating these platforms and uh, spinning them and putting it out there for our consumption. But there are ethical leaders out there that they would be looking at this for a long term approach, not just for now or for this decade, but 100 years from now, or 2, 3 next generation, how they would be shaped for what we do today. Either we do today or we don't do today, our futures would be impacted. These conversations are so timely and really worthy of paying attention. So I want to just ask you, for the interest of time, I want to ask you one more question and explain, take your time. Not going to rush you, but I want for general audiences to pay attention in what you share with them through your research and writings and conversations that you have. So, as we know that mindful and compassion are essential principles of it, right? These might be principles can be integrated into design and development of artificial intelligence. So if we say that, our developer says, well, I am not buying into Buddhist principles, right? I don't feel being a Buddhist. So why should I be paying any attention to those mindful and compassionate values? Tell our audience a little bit, why should developers or the promoters of these generative AI should consider mindfulness and compassion?
That's an interesting question. First of all, I would like to talk about artificial intelligence. So, when we say it as an intelligent system, so why do we call it intelligent? Is it because it has the ability to process huge amount of data, or is it intelligent because it can find patterns from a huge pile of data and predict almost an accurate or give us almost accurate predictions? Or is artificial intelligence or is AI systems are intelligent because it can create technologies such as deepfakes or with generative AIs, that it creates videos, images, or audios that are difficult to discern between what is real and what is fake. So we need to define what is intelligence. And if you look at Buddhist perspective, and if we draw inspiration from Buddhist philosophy emphasizes on care being the driver of intelligence. And so, with this mindset, if we create technology, then we can promote compassion and empathy towards all sentient beings, and we create systems which respects privacy, which respects human autonomy, and also which is more mindful about how biases or discrimination is being introduced into the system, and what are the ways to mitigate the biases and discrimination and any harmful consequences into these systems. So how we are creating, how we're using these sensitive data. And so I think mindfulness is important in almost every life cycle of an AI system, right from the kind of problem that we are trying to solve, or so why are we actually creating the technology? What is the problem that we are trying to solve? And how we are collecting data, how we are processing, are we mindful about uh, uh, the processing of our sensitive data? And how these systems are not creating biases, and what are the ethical frameworks that we create to mitigate biases and harmful consequences of these systems, and how do we explain the outcomes given by the AI systems?
So, do you see that the development that's happened so far or happening at the moment is intentions have been just to create on what is available, or there hasn't been much thought put into Are we looking into an ethical way to benefit the humanity, or we are profit minded? What do you see? What do you hear so far? I'm not talking about future. There would be more checks and balances, but so far, what's out there?
So, what I see that there are both worlds of these technologies. In many ways, technology is also used to create or helping humanities. For example, in cases of healthcare system providing healthcare conveniences and AI health assistance to predict diseases before it actually gets more problematic, or also in cases of for mental health challenges, AI is being used for uh, helping people solve their mental health issues, or since depression or mental health challenges is still considered as a stigma in many places, and people are not very open to talk about depression or mental health challenges. So,
Would
uh,
fair to say that in cases of depression or mental health challenges or mental well-being, when people are stressed out, they are in a situation, okay, that I can't go to a friend or coworker or anyone else. The AI is my companion, and I rather talk to an AI in the privacy. But there is no privacy then.
right.
Fooling ourselves.
Yeah, so that's the trade-off that we have, and that's another topic. So definitely when we are sharing information, sensitive information, and even in the healthcare systems, creating healthcare assistance, the kind of information that we are sharing, there is always a trade-off, privacy and accuracy and a lot of stuff. There are many ways that AI systems are creating useful products, and it's helping humanities in many ways. For example, even
Yeah.
for prosthetic limbs, AI powered prosthetic limbs. So that's one area where
And I think most people out there would agree, like anything else, that there are pros and cons. So what we are trying to emphasize here is, like, I bring it back, my thoughts on that, being informed consumer. So there is a tool available to us, is taking over our lives, whether we like it or not, whether we understand it or not, it has become part of our lives. We just need to know and inform and educate ourselves a little bit better, and to be a like I said, mindful consumers. And so there's a lot of conversation, and I think, Rupa, there's more to come, and we will, in the next episode, we will talk about, as I had mentioned, um, um, uh, so many topics around it, and they're so timely. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and enlightening us with, with your knowledge that you have gathered, uh, and put in so much effort into. And I think that this is a conversation that we should continue in informing people. I am not suggesting that we should go after the technology companies. What I'm saying is that there has to be a supervision, some monitoring, some compliance, and every perspective has to be added into it. My 2 cents here is that the technology is here to stay. We cannot live without technology going forward. Uh, so we need to make sure the technology not only benefits us in the short term, but in a long term, and also the growth. It should supplement our growth for human potential, not diminish it. So with that said, I think this was such a wonderful conversation, Rupa. I am so glad to have you. I look forward to more conversations with you. And for our audiences, I just want to thank you all being part of this amazing session. And all of those trailblazer women, we salute you. I would like to thank you all. And as you know that women are shattering barriers, we must create space where they can exhibit their achievements and motivate other women to unleash their limited potential. So be kind, be open, be supportive, bring in your collaborative mindsets. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being part of this episode. And until next time, this is host Ritu Chopra. I welcome to join us next time.
Thank you so much, Ritu. It was such a wonderful time with you and such a warm host. And as always being, pleasure and to be talking to you. So I look forward to our conversation again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that information our guest has shared is helpful and you are taking away valuable tips and knowledge. We are committed to supporting women and building cause-driven businesses that create positive impact in their communities. Join us in the movement for change. Take action now and be part of Let's Come Together movement. Together, we can recognize, celebrate, and empower women who are making a difference in today's economy. Connect with passionate and powerful women, collaborate on cause-driven businesses, and build a better future for our communities. Let's advance sustainable goals for the people, planet, and prosperity. Join the Let's Come Together movement, a private community, today and be catalyst for change in creating and raising conscious leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.